Well, I don't know exactly how to end the year. This will be the last video of the year 2017. I did a little sit down with Lazy Green and Chris Raygun. I made a video yesterday talking about a serious news issue, and I didn't know what to make for the last video. So this is going to be for all of you who have stuck with me since I started officially making these daily videos, which was in February in Sweden. And so, when I first started producing videos consistently, I've always produced videos on my YouTube channel, but it became a real consistent thing with Sweden. So I'm joined by Emily. Emily was with me in Sweden and helped start all of this. She's been mostly doing her own thing, but here we are in Iceland together, so I figured, you know what, it's not the most important video in the world, but I really wanted to have a discussion about the most important stories of 2017, and that's what we'll do in the comments. But for now, I'm gonna go to Emily, because you all, if you've been following me or seen the Sweden stuff, you know what my thoughts are. And so I think this will be a good opportunity to talk to Emily a bit about the biggest stories of 2017, how she felt in Sweden with the free speech rallies, and we'll have a conversation about it. So here's the first question. Sweden. Let's talk about Sweden. And we won't go crazy in depth, you know, we'll keep it succinct, but yeah, what did you think about Sweden? What's going on there?
Well, I think it comes down to the most dangerous thing you can do is tell people not to worry about problems, or tell them that there are no problems when they clearly feel either, you know, things need to change or there needs to be a discussion at the very least. And that's a lot of what I felt was going on in Sweden. And if you compare it to their neighboring countries like Denmark, where they're totally open to talking about issues like immigration and crime and all of these things that people want to talk about, in Sweden, I think it's way more proactive to have conversations and shut down xenophobia, Islamophobia with facts rather than...
So what I think you're saying is that Sweden is facing problems, but they're not as crazy as everyone thinks. But by restricting the communication about these problems, it makes people feel agitated or frustrated.
Exactly. Yeah.
But so what do you think? Were all the right-wing stories true?
No.
Is Sweden... No, it's not.
Well, and it depends, because obviously, like, the right said, oh, you know, it's turning into you know, people would say, oh, there's Sharia law, or is it Sharia?
Sharia law, I don't know, whatever.
I won't start that over. I think both sides have some truth to it, and both sides have a lot of just fake news about it.
Yeah, like the left thinks it's a utopia, the right thinks it's a war zone.
And yeah, the no-go zones we kind of debunked in a way. There are no no-go zones in the...
No, problem areas.
There's problem areas,
But yeah. I think the thing about no-go zones is that the right uses it colloquially to represent problem areas.
And I think that's the problem, is you gotta get your words straight, or the terms you want to use. Saying something's a no-go zone kind of desensitizes people.
Well, people on the left think it means you can't go there, period, or the cops don't go there.
Yeah.
But the right's just referring to it as a problem area.
Right. So obviously there are problem areas where even traffic attendants couldn't go in, or else they get pelted by rocks, or they have their cars smashed, or whatever. You can't say that's not a problem.
Yeah.
You can't deny that that's dangerous for people.
Hold on. So this is like part of the biggest battle with Sweden, is that calling it a no-go zone, you get the left assuming it means no one can go there, period. And then when the left says there are no no-go zones, the right are thinking about it as a problem area, meaning of course there are. And so they're not even arguing the same thing.
Well,
they're arguing two different things.
This is a great theme for 2017. It's about words. It's about people people calling people Nazis, people calling things no-go zones, people just basically shitting on words that are supposed to mean something else and using them for much less
Nazi,
significant...
racism.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. You're right. That is the theme of 2017. Yeah. That's it right there. It seems like everything boils down to mislabeling things. Right. Different definitions from different factions. You're a Nazi.
But
no, I'm not. Yes, you are.
It's free speech, so, you know, they're still allowed to do that. But it's about doing it responsibly.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the whole free speech.
That's the next big story of 2017. So Sweden was early.
They had problems. They should talk about their problems, like other Scandinavian countries do, and people shouldn't pretend that they don't have problems.
Yeah.
But again, like, the problems stem from all kinds of things. It's not just about immigration. It's about integration, socioeconomic problems, and yeah, I mean, it's about bridging cultures too.
The next big story after Sweden, free speech rallies, Nazis, the alt-right.
Yeah, we had our fair share of those this year.
And it seems like you just brought up, the theme of even from Sweden to this story is that right-wing people who are conservatives, even the Patriot Prayer guy who was like half Japanese was called a white supremacist. The Boston rally, they said these people, like Vashiva, I think his name is, he's an Indian guy, and they said he was a Nazi. Right? It's like the left thinks everyone on the right is a Nazi.
Oh.
It's like the mislabeling.
Yeah, and another one I remember at the Shelbyville and Murfreesboro. I think it was just in Shelbyville because they canceled the Murfreesboro one.
Yeah, I didn't go to that.
There was I think it was a Japanese news agency that was there, and so they were on the white nationalist side, the white supremacist.
You mean like filming the white?
Yeah, yeah. And somebody tweeted a photo of the the trad workers and all of those groups, and someone on Twitter who has like a really large following tweeted out a photo with one of the Japanese girls and said, look, you can see that it's not just about whiteness. There's so many Asian cultures that want to be white and stuff like that, and basically called her a white supremacist. And I was like, dude, she's a journalist.
But this is the funny thing that I deal with, because did you know I'm mixed race? Whenever it comes up that I'm part Asian, the response I get from the left is that, but Asians are also white supremacists, look at World War II. And I'm just like...
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about the cultural, whitening that happens in Asian countries, where people will spend tons of money trying to whiten their skin. And yeah, sure, I think that it's worth having a conversation about that. But
Japanese people, a lot of Japanese people are white, and I don't mean like Caucasian white. I mean like their skin is pale.
Right.
It's strange to me. It doesn't. I think it comes down to definition. When the left says like whiteness is bad, they don't actually mean white people, and this is one of the big problems. Like I've had conversations with them, and they're like, no, they're talking about imperialism and colonialism. They do say that colonialism, imperialism is inherent to like white people, but whiteness, and I think this is one of the big problems when they say things like down with whiteness or end whiteness. It seems to me like there are ignorant people who take a legitimate criticism of certain cultures and then conflate it to the entire race.
Oh, sure.
And it's true for the right, it's true for the left. The left says all white people are imperialist colonialists. It's like, that's not true. Like, look at Iceland. We were actually just talking about this. Iceland is very low crime. It's a welfare state. It's very peaceful. It's very nice. They have no standing military. There were no natives who were on this island. They came here and thought it was uninhabitable, and they made it work.
Yeah.
So that's so I think when you say this culture is this race is one of the big problems we've seen. I mean, longer than just 2017.
Right.
But let's get into the root of this free speech nonsense, right? I shouldn't say free speech nonsense, because free speech is important.
Yeah, I think free speech is very important. I just think people have different ideas of what free speech means. There's people who think hate speech is free speech.
It is.
And it is. Yes, it is. Doesn't mean it should be normal, or doesn't mean it should be widespread. Doesn't mean it's a good thing.
But I think the proponents of free speech understand that. It's just an issue of
right.
The video I did not too long ago.
Free speech is a tool, and I think that's what it's coming down to for a lot of these rallies is there's different messages that people go to spread, whether it's Trump is great, or Islam is bad, or pick your faction, and then whatever their message is. Yeah,
if you're a conspiracy theorist, it's the Illuminati. If you're
right.
occupier, it's the 1%.
Right. So free speech is whatever they make it, as far as using it as a tool. But it doesn't mean absolutely people should go protest something they don't agree with, just to show opposition. Like, for example, like you have a lot of these smaller groups that they find each other online, and they think, wow, there's so many people out there who think the same way that I do.
Flat earthers.
Right, exactly. That's my point, is just because there are multiple people who agree with an idea that you might have doesn't make it a good idea. And getting together and going out and demonstrating your idea, that should be protected, but you should also definitely be ready for resistance. And it doesn't mean that resistance to your idea should be, demonized, But it seems now that it's all this tribal. If you don't agree with me, then you're the bad guy.
Right. No, I agree with that. Like, one thing I've said consistently is you protest the free speech rallies, call them whatever you want. Don't get violent. And I think even the free speech proponents at these right-wing rallies, as frustrating or annoying it is to them probably to see these people protesting a free speech rally, it's when they get violent. Because protest free speech is a use of free speech. That famous picture from early in the year of the guy burning the free speech sign? That's free speech.
That is.
Like, do it.
Yeah.
Is it a paradox? It's ironic.
Yeah, it is.
But, by all means, go and do it. So I think you hit another thread here. Another really important thing that we've seen with 2017 is pocket universes. The flat earthers believe that they're true, that the earth is flat, because they go online and they see all of these opinions from people saying it is true, it is true, it is true, and they feel like it feels like the whole world is telling you it's true.
Yeah, validation.
Or it feels like, when you get a horde of people telling you that NASA's lying to you, it's a conspiracy, it's like, wow, if this many, it's people want to be part of the group. So when you go online and you see these groups saying these things, they just latch on. So then when you get the far left saying everyone at these rallies is a Nazi, they just say, oh wow, hey man, if everyone is saying it's true, and then the media just toes the line. Because the media, these journalists don't want to admit it, but they're part of one of these tribes, be it the left or the right.
Sure.
What do you think the most important story of 2017 was? Not necessarily that you experienced, but so we can sort of wrap this video up with like the final thoughts of 2017.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough. I'd say for the future, like going into 2018, I do feel like, wow, you can approach this from so many different ways. I'm gonna have to think about that. No, I'm gonna have to think about that. Like, on a domestic level, I guess you could say it is the tribalism that's happening right now.
Is it gonna get worse?
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like right now we're just seeing the beginning, and I don't want to sound cynical, but like it's not getting any better.
Yeah.
The distrust in the media is going up. I think it's gonna get worse, but for international stories, I'd say, I don't know, that's tough, because I think with Brexit and Catalonia and all of the anti-EU protests that we saw in Greece, I think they're going to have a lot to face in 2018 when it comes to
I see what you're saying.
Economic, yeah.
So Russia. Russia's meddling in all these countries.
No, I do think that's a big part of it.
I think it's overhyped.
Oh, absolutely. I think the Russia aspect is probably overhyped. But there's no denying that they're trying to stick their fingers in
just like the U.S.,
stuff.
just like every country. Yeah. It's called espionage.
Yes, exactly. The U.S. is just as responsible for that. I'm really interested to see where Iran goes with this.
Oh yeah, protests.
This is just developing, but I think that's gonna have some far-reaching consequences.
You got any predictions for 2018? You think? I talked to Lacey Green and Chris Raygun, and let me say this first. Some people were asking me like, Tim, why would you do a video with Lacey and Chris? And they're not politicians or anything. No, but they're voices, they're personalities with large followings, and people respect what they have to say. Lacey more on the left, Chris kind of a centrist who's actually left himself, I believe, but has a lot of people who are, I guess you'd call it out-group, right? They don't trust the establishment, so that includes right and left. And the people who listen to them, so hearing their thoughts, in a more casual context, I feel is good to hear. But Lacey said she thought it was calming down and that it was done, and that 2017 said the volcano erupted, or I think the conversation we had was essentially the volcano erupted with Trump's election, and then the pyroclastic flow, the wave of hot gas and ash was 2017. And so she thinks now we're going to be sifting through the rubble for 2018. But you think it's only just beginning? It's going to get worse?
Well, it depends what kind of problems you're talking about. I think
protests, free speech.
Well, I guess here's the thing. 2017 was kind of a knee-jerk reaction as far as protests go towards the Trump administration. We'll see what happens. Like, I think people are going to continue protesting, but not to the same degree as in 2017. I think we're going to still have free speech rallies, because I think this is an issue that's kind of just beginning. But yeah, I don't know. In 2018, I'm hoping it's not nearly as crazy. I feel like a lot of this is just kind of fallout from the election. But I think domestically, as far as
I feel like the Trump bump idea that Trump says these things and the media can milk it is dying. I really do.
I hope so.
Because
it's overshadowed so many more important stories.
Oh, totally.
And I'm really sick of it.
But so for the whole year, basically, the media just will talk about whatever Trump does because they call it the Trump bump. They're going to get a bunch of views from it. I think people have burned out on it. It's like, oh, okay, Trump did that. I don't even care anymore. It's like, oh, he tweeted again. Sure.
He's always going to be tweeting stupid shit.
So I think a lot of the problems we saw in 2017 were due to the media overhyping things in an effort to drive traffic, which is it's what they do. Now I'm not saying it's true, but it feels like if the Trump bump is fading, and I personally think that it is, whatever they focus on next is going to be 2018. And so maybe that won't be protest, maybe that won't be Trump, maybe it'll be something else.
Yeah, what?
I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts? Because we're freezing and it's a New Year's Eve. A message to the people?
A message to the people, get out more.
Yeah.
Get out of your bubble and try to be more empathetic, sympathetic, and be more understanding and tolerant. I don't know, like, be friends with people you disagree with. Like, But you're preaching to the right, right? I don't mean like... No, I'm totally preaching to the left, too.
No. Like, what I mean is by saying all this, you're going to have people in the pro-free speech, the out-group, the right, whatever, going like, yes, I agree with you. It's the far left people who are like, I won't do an interview, I won't sit down with you. When they get invited to events, they're like, no way, I won't do it. Don't platform people. I think even the craziest people of the extreme right, flat earth Nazi communists, or I shouldn't say communist, but flat earth Nazis are like, yes, I will talk to you.
I would like to talk about platforming. Maybe not today, but some other time.
Yeah. All right, well, let's wrap up there. This, consider, I don't know how to describe it, but there are some stories I could talk about. There's certainly Iran. The thing is, look at that mountain range, and I think those are ducks. This is, maybe it's not the greatest discussion in the world or the most important thing, but if you made it this far, you have my eternal gratitude. There's some stories in Iceland that aren't super important, but that we're going to be filming, and I'm only here for a few days. We're only here for a few days. This is kind of can we go somewhere beautiful? Can we end the year talking about something that's not, like a year in review feels okay. Maybe it's not the greatest year in review. There's a lot of other things to talk about. I'm sure you guys in the comments will bring up a lot of really important ideas, a lot of things we may have missed, but it's just a casual conversation that I wanted to talk about. We did go shoot some stuff already, but that video is probably going to be up on the 2nd, and it's going to be more fun. I want to start the year light. I don't want to start the year screaming, you're all going to die, but honestly, with the Iran protest, it is getting kind of scared. So if you're not following what's going on with Iran, as of right now, I think it's the 4th straight day of nationwide protests, and there's a lot of concern about what's going to happen. But we'll see. What I want to try to do is focus on it. I'm kind of like looking at this as like toning things down for a little bit. We're at the end of the year, nothing too crazy. A lot of people who watch this may have left already because they find it boring, but it is what it is. And tomorrow, I'm going to make something, I'm hopefully going to have something for you that's a bit more beautiful to kick the year off and make you feel good. That's the plan. Because I assure you, in a week from today, it's going to be back to the hard, crazy news of the real world that's going to make you want to just scream. But thanks for hanging out as long as you did. If you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter @TimCast. You can support my work by going to timcast.com/donate. Give whatever you'd like, give nothing at all. My videos are always free and available every day at 4 p.m. Emily is on Twitter @MomesMolly.
Yeah, MOMESMOLLI.
And we're gonna hopefully get a couple stories from Iceland. And it's a big New Year's celebration here, so it seemed like to go and get a good story about New Year's, this would be a place to do it. I was curious. It's a big celebration, but not a lot of people talk about it. There's not a lot of people here. It's a couple 100,000 people in the Reykjavik area. So that's what we're gonna do. Thanks for hanging out as long as you did, and I will see you in 2018.